Local Justice, presented by Elrod Law Firm, serving our community since 1980. Here's your host, attorney Ben Leader.
Welcome to Local Justice. I'm Ben Leader, and today I'm honored to be with somebody that probably epitomizes the definition of justice and works towards that every day more than anyone else I know. And please help me in welcoming Bronte Anelli, a staff attorney with South Carolina Legal Services. Bronte, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful pleasure to be here, and I am so excited to have been invited for today.
Absolutely. And Bronte works every day to ensure that people have access to justice, to ensure that people who can't afford a lawyer can still have access to the same types of rights that everybody else has, whether that's in family court, housing disputes, education, or even consumer protection. Her work does have a direct impact on the families right here in our community, and we're excited to learn more about what you do today.
Oh, wonderful. Well, again, thank you for having me, and I'm very excited to share all the wonderful services that Legal Services provides to those in South Carolina.
Absolutely. Well, before we get to that, I want the viewers to hear a little bit more about who you are and kind of where you grew up and what ultimately led you towards the path of legal services.
Well, I don't know if this is going to help me get any brownie points, but I am a transplant. So I was born in California, raised in Pennsylvania, and then went to law school at Elon Law in North Carolina, and then immediately started practicing at South Carolina Legal Services. I started in our Conway office, which services Myrtle Beach area, and then I transferred to the Rock Hill area about 3 years ago. So overall, I've been practicing for about 7 years, doing a wide variety of different areas, and I wanted to be an attorney because I originally wanted to be the President of the United States. And clearly my projection of my careers have changed, and I have found a place that I am really finding that I am making a huge difference in the community and very happy to be part of.
Absolutely, and sometimes you can just sense the passion from
Yes.
people, and you certainly bring that passion to what you do.
Thank you.
I don't know anybody that's ever worked in the world of legal services that just happened to end up there. It feels like it was truly a calling for most of the people that end up in your role. Was there something in law school that may have kind of opened your eyes to this, type of law, or was it a particular professor maybe that drove you towards this direction, or how did you end up going from Elon to Conway and ending up with the legal services side?
So it wasn't a particular professor. It actually wasn't law school. It was growing up. So I am the first generational professional in my family.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It is because of the hard work and dedication of my parents that I was able to achieve what I have done. And growing up in certain communities, you just see a huge discrepancy and an injustice that a lot of other communities might not see on a daily basis. And I particularly wanted to practice in education law because my mother was an emotional support teacher for years, and now she is a regular education teacher. And I saw a lot of the things that the students and the families were going through, and my heart broke that I knew if they just had someone in the room with them, that they might be able to get the services and accommodations that they did not have that ability to get without someone there. And those thoughts just stayed with me in law school. And I knew when I graduated I wanted to practice in education. That never changed. But then I found a purpose in family law as well. And education, as you'll hear later on, is a very small niche, and not many law firms practice in it. South Carolina Legal Services did. And there was a job opening in the Conway office for both family and education. And when things are meant to be, they happen. So I ended up applying, got the job fresh out of law school, and have been here since.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
And for viewers who don't know, could you just tell us a little bit about what South Carolina Legal Services is and what type of services you guys provide?
Absolutely. So South Carolina Legal Services, we are a nonprofit company here in South Carolina. We are funded by state and federal grants, as well as local and business grants as well. We handle a variety of different areas. So as I said before, education and family, but we also handle housing, consumer, business, estate planning, benefits, Social Security, the list goes on and on. Really our main qualification is financial. That is the one that everybody is very familiar with. So you do have to make 200% or less than the federal government, federal poverty guidelines. Those guidelines change every 3 years, and it does include how many people are in your household and how much the household makes. And then we also have additional other grants that you do not need to have those assets or income barriers for. So for example, if you are over the age of 60, those do not apply to you, as well as if you've been a victim of a crime.
That's great. And so I think you said, was it 200% below?
Yes.
Okay.
So our website, sclegal.org, does have a tab available to it's a drop-down menu, and it allows you to look at the income guidelines to see if you qualify. But we usually advise anyone who might believe that they fall within the guidelines to still apply, just because there are grants that come in and out of availability to be able to see if we can assist them.
Sure. That's great. So your website's a great resource where people can get started and find out if they qualify, but even if they're thinking they don't, there's still possibility of other grants and other services they may be able to take advantage of. Is that fair?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, great. I know we've talked about family law. I think landlord-tenant's also an area that y'all have to sadly get involved with a lot of times.
Yes, that is one of our biggest areas that we handle outside as well. When it comes to evictions, we're seeing a rise in evictions. A lot of landlords need to do the repairs they're seeing and want to make their housing market, I forgot the word, but want to compete in the market.
Sure.
And be able to, you know, have their own type of housing available for them. So we're seeing more and more evictions occur. There is a lack of affordable housing in our area, not just here, but in a lot of areas that we service. And most families live paycheck to paycheck. So if they experience something like an illness, their child is sick and they can't get daycare services, so they have to stay at home, they then might miss a rent payment, and as a result, they're facing an eviction as well. So we do see a rise of evictions in this area, as well as a rise of need for repair cases. We're seeing a lot of natural disasters happening. We just had Hurricane Helene through here, so there are a lot of repairs that need to be done to different homes and different apartments due to either neglect by the landlord or through natural disasters.
Wow. Well, there's so much to unpack with everything y'all
Yes.
offer to the state as a whole, and we'll dive a lot more into each of these
course.
topics here shortly. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors, and we'll be back for more local justice shortly. Thanks for tuning in.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod and Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
Welcome back to Local Justice. I'm Ben Leader with Elrod Pope Law Firm, and today I'm honored to be here with Bronte Anelli, an attorney with the South Carolina Legal Services. Bronte, thank you so much for joining us and helping educate our viewers on everything that South Carolina Legal Services offers to people throughout the state.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And so we've touched on a lot of different kind of practice areas that are all encompassed under the legal services. I want to talk a little bit about first education law and the types of, most frequent kind of calls y'all get about these types of cases and what type of services y'all offer.
Of course. So at South Carolina Legal Services, the main areas for education law that we assist with are enrollment issues. So families trying to figure out how to get their children enrolled in the proper schools with the proper paperwork, and what happens if you're not the biological parent. Do you need to have custody, or is there another form of another document that you could have to help enroll a child? We also assist in disciplinary issues. So if your child is facing a suspension or expulsion, you do have due process rights with that avenue, and we do attend hearings as well for discipline issues. We also go with parents to meetings for accommodations and modifications under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, as well as the IDEA.
That's great.
Yes.
And family law is just one of many prongs that,
Yes.
that legal services offered. I know housing is another big one. We've touched on the evictions, landlord-tenant law. We want to hit consumer law briefly, because I know
Yes.
that's part of what y'all do, maybe not necessarily what you specifically do there, but a part of what the organization does as a whole.
Yes, so with consumer law, a lot of people don't understand what it might entail, but we are consumers. We are in a world of consumers. So this includes if you are under a contract and there was a violation of the contract, if there are warranty issues with a car, if you are in debt collection because there was a failed credit card payment, or you are a victim of fraud, and now the debt collectors are coming after you for a debt you had no idea that was even owed. And this also covers bankruptcy as well.
And when I think of that niche in particular, it really is protecting the powerless against the powerful, and those that may not be able to pay that initial consultation fee for an attorney, but are in the right in terms of the merits of their case, or may have collections being rendered against them that aren't valid, and it gives those people a way to stand up and really fight back and have their voice heard.
Absolutely. With debt collection cases, what we see quite often are when your debt is sold to 2, 3, 4, 5 companies. Really, how much is owed? Are those companies even have the ability to enforce it? Everybody is protected under a code of laws. It could be state, it could be federal, it could be even local ordinances. So it is important to have an attorney for these types of cases to make sure that the law and the process is followed through correctly, to make sure that your rights have not been violated.
Absolutely. And one of the things I like the most about the type of law I practice, which is personal injury, is that it's all contingency fee based, and so we don't have to require any payment up front, and our services are open to anybody that has a valid claim. And so I think in the personal injury world, we are able to offer justice access to everyone, but it doesn't work that way in a lot of practice areas. No. Family law, probate law, a lot of times there are upfront costs that can be significant and crippling for a low-income family to be able to afford.
And that is actually one of the biggest barriers that we see into being able to obtain appropriate or even just counsel, I guess you could say, are those barriers. Having, see, I don't even use it, so I don't even know what it's called, but having those initial payments for attorneys, they are necessary because a lot of work goes into cases, especially up front through investigation, preparation for cases. When family law is utilized, you might be having emergency hearings and the like. And when there's an emergency, you have to be able to drop everything and focus all of your resources onto it. So the benefit about having legal services, especially if we're able to take your case, is being able to have an attorney that you don't have to pay those initial fees for, because our services are free. However, we do still require that you pay other fees associated with your case. So if a judge does not find in your favor and you have a judgment against you, that is something you would be financially responsible for. But as for having an attorney and paying our fees, you would not have to cover my costs at all.
And I know in the world of legal advertising, it is so overwhelming to even find the right type of person to be able to help with a specific problem. And I know a lot of what y'all do is connecting the right people with the right attorneys, and the attorneys that may have already set up relationships with y'all and may be familiar with what needs to happen, and you can connect a potential client with that person versus them kind of just going on a wild goose chase making phone call after phone call trying to find help?
So we do handle resources in the community, but we actually do not match clients with attorneys.
Okay,
We
gotcha.
have attorneys who work in-house, which is I'm one of the staff attorneys.
Okay.
And then we also have private attorneys who have signed up with our program. So if we have a case that, because we just don't have the capability of taking it, because again, we only have so many resources in-house, we might call up one of our attorneys on this list to see if they can handle it. Legal services will pay these attorneys a reduced rate, and that for all intents and purposes, they work for legal services.
Right.
But we cannot give you local attorneys' names in the area if we're unable to take your case at all. What we do provide you, however, is the number for the South Carolina Lawyer Referral Number. And what this number does is it allows someone who is interested in getting an attorney, who does not, I should say, work with, who does not qualify, who does not qualify for legal services, to be able to match them up with an attorney in their area who handles that area of law. That number does cost $50, but it's a $50 30-minute conversation that they get with that attorney. So it does reduce the price for that consultation fee significantly, depending on the area of law.
That's great, and I learned something every one of these shows, and the lawyer referral service, is something we rely on heavily, and I always assumed that they were connected, but it's one of those situations where if they qualify and y'all can help, great, but if not, y'all can steer them towards the lawyer referral service, and
Yes.
they can find help that way.
Yes.
In the grand scheme of kind of what you've seen over the last decade, really, how do you think South Carolina is doing as a whole in terms of opening access to justice? Are we making progress? I know the fight probably never ends, but how would you assess where things stand?
That is a very tough question to answer, because it depends on the issue. It depends on the community. I think that there are improvements every year, every day, working towards removing those barriers to allow more people access to justice. There are always conversations happening within the judicial level of how to make things easier for persons representing themselves, but then also how to make things more work more smoothly within the court system itself, because it's always a balance. You're balancing everybody's needs against each other's, and in places that you might feel are not sufficient enough, there are other places where you are really benefiting from as well. So there's always a give or take with it. I think we are seeing huge improvements every year towards it. I think there is a bigger understanding of really the limitations that persons who are representing themselves face. And I think that those conversations are happening every year and really removing those barriers more and more. It might not seem like it, but I can say the difference in my years of practice here that I have seen have truly improved. And I mean, as you might know, nothing happens quickly in the judicial system. Things take a little bit of time, but we are seeing improvement. So we are seeing special courts popping up. So right now in Charleston and in Richland County, they have housing court. We're seeing homeless courts pop up, really to try to make it easier for persons who are representing themselves to get the justice that they deserve.
That's great. Well, what I really hear is progress when I hear
Yes.
all of those things. And so I want to touch on a few of those in just a moment.
course.
We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more local justice shortly. Thanks for tuning in.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
At Palmetto Pride, we know we have a choice. The choice for a cleaner South Carolina. And it's an easy one at that. Don't litter. No grand gestures or heroic efforts here, but the outcome still has monumental impacts. When it comes to our state, every choice counts and every action matters. From the great outdoors to parks next door, from Main Street to your street. All it takes is a little bit of pride to keep South Carolina beautiful.
When a catastrophe hits, it can be a very stressful time for you. When you have trees on your house, when you have trees on your cars, and you don't know what to do, you call us.
We're not a 1-800 number, we're an 803 number. We've been in business for over 60 years because we take care of our clients. That means taking care of them during claim situations.
We're not 9 to 5, we're 24/7. We're gonna be there when you need us most. Gill Insurance, your local auto owner's agent. Understanding business is how we do business.
Welcome back to Local Justice. I'm your host, Ben Leader, and today we're here chatting with Bronte Anelli from the South Carolina Legal Services. Bronte, thanks again for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Of course, it's a pleasure being here.
We've learned a lot about legal services and all the different types of law that y'all help with, and one thing I think that's helpful that I should have started with was, to talk about just kind of where y'all fall in terms of civil and criminal and maybe what you can do and what you can't do.
Yes, so I've mentioned this entire segment, a lot of what we do, but things that we don't do is we don't do anything for money, so we don't do anything personal injury related, or things for like medical malpractice or intentional infliction of emotional distress. We don't handle any of those. And we do not do anything criminal, because the criminal side, you will have a public defender. So if you do have a criminal case, we will not be able to take it. I can't tell you the first thing about criminal law outside of what my bar books taught me way back when. But we, as I said before, family education, but we also handle those advanced directives, consumer benefits, wide variety of other additional issues. Yeah.
Sure. And in terms of, if somebody does contact you and it may not be something y'all can help with, what other resources do you typically recommend to people as far as where to maybe start?
So we won't just refer to you to SC lawyer referral, as I mentioned before, but depending on what you need, we have a wide variety of different resources. So a huge resource is lawhelp.org. This is a website that we actually at Legal Services help maintain, but it contains a wide variety of additional resources as well as a understanding of how different areas work. So if you are trying to obtain visitation as a father, it will walk through the steps that you need to take to file the action on your own. If you have a housing question, there are frequently asked questions on this website. We also can provide you a list of resources as well if you are facing some housing issues. Two very great resources, at least in this area, are the United Way organization, as well as the Coalition Against, the Catawba Area Coalition Against Homelessness, or CASH. Those organizations do a great job at providing different resources to members of the community who are facing housing issues. They might not be able to assist you, as I always say, but they might be able to put you in contact with somebody who could assist you. And fortunately, in this community, a lot of churches have also assisted in providing assistance as well for housing issues also. So there's always something out there, there's always something available. It might not be how much you need or at the time that you need it, but we are blessed to be in a community that really truly helps each other.
There's so much collaboration, I hear,
Yes.
just amongst all the organizations out there that are doing work similar to yours and, helping steer people in the right direction. So we're grateful to have y'all serving York County and South Carolina as a whole.
Thank you.
I know a lot of what we've talked about with organizations of similar causes has been funding over the last year, really, a couple of years. Is there anything that the community as a whole can do, or that the legal community can do to better support you guys and the work that y'all are doing? Do you feel like, I can only imagine that the amount of volume y'all receive in terms of requests and calls, and it's a lot to keep up with, and I'm sure requires a lot of infrastructure.
I think specifically for the legal community, I think the two things that a lot of my fellow colleagues might be interested in doing is, one, getting involved in the private attorney program that we have. Within this program, you have the choice of whether or not you want to take the case. So it's not like we are automatically assigning you everything we can't handle. But if you are an attorney who might be interested in expanding their practice area, this is a great program to get involved in. But if you know exactly where you want to practice but want to still help in other ways, we do accept donations as well. One thing that we are always struggling to find are actually assistance in covering the cost for expungements. Expungements are very expensive and you have to pay fees per charge, and these charges can be huge barriers for employment. And especially for people who don't have a job and are trying to get employed, and this is preventing them, it's hard to pay the $200-300 plus fees. So I know that the bar itself does have these organizations that you can donate to, but it's something that we can do more of. But I think these are two different ways that I really can think that our private bar can really assist with.
That's great. That's great information. And I guess most importantly, to kind of wrap things up with you here today, what is the best way that someone can contact South Carolina Legal Services?
Well, thank you very much for asking. There are two ways to contact us. One, you can go online at www.sclegal.org. And you can also call us on our intake line. Our intake line is open from Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the number is 888-346-5592.
That's great. That was 888-346-5592.
5592.
And it's open till 6, which I think is a great perk that, you know, even that after work hour, there's still the potential to reach somebody.
Yes, and that number does service the entire state of South Carolina. So we always tell people that if you are just don't have such an emergency case, try doing our website first, because you can apply online, or look at lawhelp.org, because a lot of questions can actually be answered through that program as well.
That's great. Bronte, thank you again for joining us on the show today and for all the great work you're doing to stand up for families and South Carolina citizens who may not have a voice. I mentioned it at the beginning, but the work you guys do really is the epitome of local justice, and we're happy to be able to share some of this information with our viewers and hopefully open some eyes to some of the work that goes on behind the scenes. And again, we appreciate the time for you sharing your insight today, and more importantly, the difference in the lives you're making across the state. So thanks again for joining us, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Local Justice. We'll see you next time. Take care.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
Kidney disease is becoming more and more prevalent, especially with diabetes and hypertension. My training with kidney disease helps me to talk to patients and guide them through the steps that they can take, the changes that they can make into their lifestyles. And we have a dedicated team of providers, including dietitians and pharmacists that we work with to educate patients towards achieving that.
We know the type. You like to start early, finish late, make lemon squares, and make payments to the college fund from anywhere in the house. We know you rely on Comporium for the things you rely on most, like a view of the backyard. That's just a bunny, and hundreds of channels to watch, whenever you want. So you may think of us as just your internet company, but we're more like the I didn't know they could do all that company. Comporium, always ready.
From my first watch I purchased as a teenager, which still runs today, to the diamond ring I surprised my wife with, which she still talks about today. A gift from Norman Hagee is as good as it gets. Whether it's elegant timepieces by Bulova, Caravel, and Bel Air, or ornamental ironwork-inspired Southern Gates collection, or dazzling fine jewelry. A gift from Hagee is backed by over 60 years of family-owned and operated experience. Norman Hagee Jewelers. or gifts as good as it gets.
For over 7 decades, the YMCA of Upper Palmetto has been dedicated to empowering our community. Every day, we're committed to ensuring that every individual, regardless of circumstance, has the chance to thrive. From life-changing initiatives like the First Thursdays Club to unique health programs and vital water safety education, we're here to uplift, inspire, and transform lives. For more on how you can get involved in all we do at YMCA of Upper Palmetto, visit our website or stop by one of our 12 locations.
We can